this electrifying moment, this magnificent energy in this auditorium. It's so exciting, so infectious, that I cannot be free of that influence, which is really making me feel extremely delighted to be part of this career counseling seminar. From confusion to clarity, this is the journey that all of us are into. When my son, he completed his 12th standard, and he said, "Dad, I want to join an IIT coaching because I want to go for the IIT program." I put him in the IIT coaching center. 2 weeks later, I got a call from the coaching center, and then the coaching center executive tells me that your son doesn't come here. Even if he comes, he has no interest in what's going on. He's not completing his assignments. I had put some 75,000 rupees as the admission fee, and then there were more installments I was supposed to pay. Then I spoke to my son, "What's going on?" He said, "I have no interest. I'm not interested in this." But I said, "Look, I have spent 75,000 rupees. He said, "Yeah, but after I joined this IIT coaching, I realized this is not my cup of tea." I said, "What's the hell going on? You know, we have already put money on this." He said, "But I have no interest. I am interested in pure science, not in applied science. I'm not interested in engineering." I told him, "You should have told me beforehand." I went to that center. I said, "Give the money back. You just attended only 2 or 3 sessions." They said, "No, didn't you see the terms and conditions? We have mentioned the fee is non-refundable." All right, so that's where, that's a great example of confusion, career confusion that youngsters have today. I mentor students in a B school in Bangalore. I met one B school student in one of the B schools in Bangalore, and then on the first conversation he told me, "Sir, I don't know what I'm doing here." I said, "What are you saying?" "You are here in the management program." He said, "Yeah, but everything is going over my head. I'm not able to relate to anything that they're teaching in the class." I said, "Really? Why? What happened?" He said, "This is not my area of interest." Then I asked him, "Why don't you drop out?" I asked him, "What is your interest?" He said, "My interest is music." I said, "Okay, then drop out of this." The young boy told me, "Look, my dad, who is working as a clerk in the government of West Bengal, has put his entire life savings into my MBA education. All the money has been put into this MBA program. I can't let him down because he has no money left after this, right? If I drop out, then he has nothing left with him. All his life savings he has put into this. But I am not interested in this." So this is the state of affairs with youngsters in our country. Confusion, including my family. The problem is in my family as well. Anyway, later I put my son into BSc, and then he completed his master's, and then he is now working in Netherlands in a company, in an energy company. But everybody doesn't get that opportunity. Many a time, young people like you begin the journey with a confusion, right? So the big question, the very big question today is, why are so many students that are confused? What's going on? What's the problem? Let's look at the reality. The reality is actually biting us. The reality is absolutely painful, but that's what the reality is. There is too much uncertainty all around. Artificial intelligence, AI coming in, it's going to take away jobs. The geopolitical scenario, the war, the epidemics, too much of uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Too many choices. I don't know. For my son, whether he should go for pure science, engineering, he should go for mechanical engineering, automobile, computer science, pure science, too many choices to look at, too much of pressure. That young boy, the B school student, when I asked him, why did you choose this? He said, all my friends joined the MBA program. I joined too. That's peer pressure, that is parental pressure, too much pressure, and you really don't know what to do. And when there is too much of uncertainty, too many choices, too much pressure, there is too little awareness, very little self-awareness. That is the problem. How many of you can raise your hand and tell me that you know yourself very well? Raise your hand. And then you can claim that I know myself very, very, very well. Not even a single hand going up, maybe just one at the back, right? After some thinking and contemplation, one hand goes up and nobody else has raised their hand. So isn't it a pity that we don't know ourselves very well? But that's the reality. Too much of uncertainty, too many choices, too much peer pressure, parental pressure. I'm not really sure what to do. And I know very little about myself. Let me share with you a story. The story of a farmer and a dog. A farmer had a dog, right? Very active dog. The dog used to sit at the gate of the farmer's house. Every day when vehicles were passing by the farmer's house, the dog used to chase those vehicles. One day the farmer's friend came and met him and asked him, friend, you have a stupid, foolish, useless dog. The farmer asked, why, what happened? The friend said, your dog is chasing every vehicle. All the speeding vehicles are going in front of your house and this dog is chasing them. And does he believe that he can ever catch any one of them? These are speeding vehicles. They're going very fast. And this guy is chasing all of them. He thinks that he can never catch any one of them. The farmer said, good question, but that question doesn't bother me. He said, then what bothers you? He said, there is another question which is worrying me. Can he ever catch any vehicle or any vehicle driver or rider? That question doesn't worry me. But the question that worries me is, if at all, one day he catches any one of them, what is he going to do? What is he going to do? Does he know that? What is the purpose? He is chasing aimlessly, mindlessly, purposelessly something that he doesn't know why he is chasing and what he is chasing. My dear young boys and girls, men and women, I don't recommend that you be in that race after a couple of years. After you complete your engineering, MBA, graduation, at least you don't be in that mindless, purposeless, useless, helpless, hopeless chasing which doesn't take you anywhere. There was a marksman in a village and everybody was saying that he's a very famous marksman, absolutely accurate. Whenever he hits an arrow, it goes and hits the bull's eye. Every time it happens. Whenever he releases an arrow, it goes and hits the bull's eye. Many journalists, they came together. I don't know if there are some journalists here today, but some reporters, they came together. They said, we'll go and meet that village, that marksman. They went to that village. They met that man. But before they met, they saw that arrows stuck everywhere inside the bull's eye, in trees and buildings and walls, everywhere. They saw arrows stuck in the bull's eye. They asked people who has done it. They all pointed him to the village marksman. Finally, they met him. They asked him, sir, how do you do it? How do you do it every time? Every time you release an arrow, you hit the bull's eye. The marksman said, very simple. I pick up the bow and the arrow. I release the arrow. It goes and hits somewhere. I go near there and I draw circles around the arrow. Right? So I hit the bull's eye every time. Ladies and gentlemen, many of us are leading a life like that. We move, we are in a race, we get somewhere, and we say, well, this is where we are destined to be in. This is where we are destined to be, right? I would never recommend that you be in such a race. Never be like that marksman who doesn't have a purpose in life. And never be the dog of the farmer. Alice in the Wonderland, right? Alice is asking, would you please tell me which way should I take? Because she finds that the road is bifurcated into two. So she's asking, which road should I take? The cat is saying, that depends on where you want to go. Alice says, I don't care where. The cat said, then it doesn't matter. If you don't know, if you don't care about where you want to go, it doesn't matter. You can take left, right, back, whatever you want to take. So which path should I take? It matters if you know where you want to go. But if you don't know where you want to go, then it really doesn't matter. My master, Sri Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra says, be inspired by your purpose, and with serene mind forbear all, then only shall your purpose be fulfilled. So you must have a purpose in your life, which should be biting you, which should be troubling you, which should be giving you sleepless nights, which should make you feel uncomfortable. I must achieve that purpose. God has sent me to this universe with a clear purpose of making a difference to this world, touching lives, igniting minds, changing people's lives. I have a purpose. That's why I'm here. I am not here to be like that dog of the farmer. I am not like the marksman who releases arrows and doesn't know where it goes. I am here with a purpose. And he says, be inspired by your purpose. That purpose should make you crazy. It should make you go mad. You should be restless until you achieve that purpose. You must find your purpose. And if you find your purpose, you will find your career. If you find your purpose, you will find clarity in your career, in that journey. Bill Gates, the famous entrepreneur, the founder of Microsoft, he established Microsoft. When he established Microsoft, did he know that he will become the richest man in the world? Can anybody tell me? Did he know that? When he started Microsoft, he had no idea that he will become the richest man. But he ended up becoming the richest man in the world. That's a different matter. But he had a purpose. The purpose was to make a software which the common man can use. Before the GUI suite of products came, platforms came, software was very complex with the operating system that we used to have, the DOS, Unix, etc., extremely complex. He had a purpose to make life simpler for people. Ratan Tata was once driving in his car, and then it was raining cats and dogs. It was raining badly. And at a traffic junction, the car stops, and he sees something. And that troubles him. He saw an Indian family, a husband, a wife, and 3 children on a two-wheeler. You know, they're going on a two-wheeler, and they're getting drenched completely, badly drenched. The small little kids, the wife, the husband, they're all getting drenched. He said, I will not let this continue. The middle-class man in India must drive a four-wheeler. And he decided to launch a car, which is very popularly known as the Nano today. And he had a purpose to change the status, to change the condition of people in a social status, and he went after that purpose. Captain Gopinath wanted to start an airline where everybody can fly. And he started Air Deccan at that point in time. It was bought over by another company, which probably did not have a purpose. I'm not going to comment on that. And we know what happened to that airline after that. But these are people who had a purpose. Edward Jones, when he invented the polio vaccine, people asked him, his friends told him, patent it. Patent this polio vaccine. He said, why? They said, it will give you billions of dollars. At that point in time, young kids were getting handicapped for life because of polio. Edward Jones asked his friends, can you patent the sun? Can you patent the moon? Can you patent the earth? His friends said, what are you saying? How can you patent all this? He replied, how can you patent the polio vaccine? The polio vaccine is for the mankind. It's not for me. It's for the mankind. You cannot patent the polio vaccine. The man had great purpose. How many dollars, $billion he made? I have no idea. But Edward Jones is etched into the memory of every human being because he has saved millions of lives in this world. This man had a purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to be inspired by our purpose. If you think you want to find clarity in your career. When you look at career, there are different types of people. You know, you can relate to these three categories. Possibly you will belong to one of them, right? The one is the trend follower. Like my son, you know, everybody, all his friends were doing engineering. He said, I'll also doing engineering. Like that student in B school, all his friends were doing MBA. He said, I'll also do MBA. So the student who chooses what everyone else is choosing, right? MBA, engineering, data science, artificial intelligence. Everybody is now doing artificial intelligence. You are interested in music. I am, but no. Everybody else is going for AI. I will also go for it. So the trend follower. Then there are people who are the passionate explorers, right? They explore, they experiment, they try, they do one or two internships, figure out what interests them, what they like, they do more research, they do some volunteering in some area to find out if that is interesting to them, right? Slowly, over a period of time, career clarity emerges for them. And there are the purpose-driven learner, right? While the first two are okay, majority of them fall into that category, there is a purpose-driven learner, right? The student who asks, what impact do I want to create? Like Edward Jones wanted to ask, can I make this world free of polio? Like Bill Gates, he said, can I make a software which is free, which is simple to use, right? Steve Jobs, when he launched this smartphone, the iPhone, he said, can I make a smartphone which is as simple that a 4-year-old kid can also use? And that's true. If you hand over an iPhone to a 4-year-old kid, that boy or girl can actually operate better than many of us. They had a purpose. Ratan Tata had a purpose. What impact I want to create? Career revolves around it. Career is built around it. Career becomes meaningful, not just profitable. Bill Gates became the richest man in the world is a different matter. But he did not start Microsoft to become the richest man. So what describes you the best? Can you raise your hands? How many of you belong to the first category, the trend follower? Be honest. Yeah, a lot of hands have gone up. Good. How many of you are passionate explorer? You? Few there? Okay. But be aware your parents may not be very happy with you, right? Some of your family members may not be very happy, but good that you are an explorer. How many of you are person-driven learner? Just 1, 2, 3, 4? Good. So, yes. So I see there are a few people who also have raised their hand, but the number is very few. But if you really want clarity in career, then you must find what your purpose is. If you don't have that, then you will continue to explore or you will follow the trend. You probably will remain in confusion. Find your purpose is what you say. Why is this confusion? Parental expectations, too many options, fear of failure. How can I try this? You know, rapid technology change. I learned something today, but you know, technology will change this. The myth around a perfect career. The myth around a perfect career is the best company. I must work for Apple or Google. You know, I must be a coder, developer in that company. I must get this salary. This is the myth of a perfect career. There's nothing called a perfect career. Careers evolve, right? Career is a journey. And I know because I work in a multinational company, and I meet many young people who say that I want to do this job in this particular location. I want to work for this particular client. They're too rigid, absolutely inflexible, and they have a view of what a perfect career is all about, not willing to explore, not willing to try, not willing to make mistakes. They're waiting for the perfect career, which sometimes become a disaster for them. And many of us are like that dog, or like that, the marksman. Many of you are chasing something without a spiritual dimension, without a self-awareness, without values, without purpose, without that inner alignment, aligning with yourself, with your strength, with your passion, with your aspiration, with your promise. Without that alignment, it becomes absolutely difficult. I remember a story of my spiritual guru. There was a young man who used to live in the ashram, the satsang ashram, and he had the bad reputation of fighting with people. But he was a brilliant guy. He was scolding everybody, but he was using new words every day to scold people. So his vocabulary was fabulous. Every day he will invent some new vocabulary and scold people. But people are very unhappy with him. They didn't care about his talent. And this guy was becoming increasingly unpopular and then jobless, and nobody was liking him. One day, a lot of devotees came to Sri Sri Thakur, my spiritual master, and complained, Thakur, throw this young man out of ashram, right? We can't tolerate him. He is just scolding everybody, fighting with everybody, bitterly fighting with everyone. Thakur said, I want to understand what it is. Send him to me the next day. And the young man comes to Thakur. And Sri Sri Thakur says, look, I got to know that you are fighting with everybody. But that doesn't really bother me much. But I think you can be a brilliant writer. Have you ever thought about it? He said, brilliant writer? Never. I never thought about that, Thakur. He said, no, I think you can. A man who can invent new vocabulary every day and rebuke people must be an extremely talented person. I believe that you can be a great writer. That's when the young man starts writing, right? He starts writing. And needless to say that he becomes a great writer thereafter. This is what happens when you get clarity. And the young man that day got clarity because his master helped him recognize what his talent is, right? You need that master who can help you recognize that talent. There was a village when there was a sculptor who used to make beautiful statues. And a lot of people got to know about his brilliant talent, that he can make really beautiful statues. Some reporters, like who wanted to meet that marksman, they also wanted to meet this sculptor. They went to that village, went to his workshop, and they asked him, how do you make such beautiful statues? He said, I make statues? Who said that? I don't make any statues. The reporter said, there are so many statues all around you. I mean, we can see them. These statues look lively. They have life, so much of life. The sculptor said, but I don't make them. The statues are already there inside the stone. All that I do is I pick up a hammer and I start removing the unnecessary parts from the statue. The statue comes alive. What else I do? I don't do anything. Friends, the sculptor knew the moment he sees a piece of stone, he knows what is the statue that is inside. Great masters, when they see people, they know what brilliance, what talent, what outstanding talent is within that person. The person himself doesn't know. Herself doesn't know. The great masters know what is inside. They can bring out. What do? They remove the unnecessary parts. What is the unnecessary part? Fear, confusion, suspicion, arrogance, ego. They remove all of that What comes alive is a talented, outstanding, great personality. Great masters do that. They have that capability. So if you want to have a great career, you need to have a purpose. You need to have clarity of purpose. And if you want to have clarity of purpose, you need a master, a guru, who can help you find that clarity of purpose, that clarity of vision. That is absolutely important. What do you see here? The elephants in circus. We have seen, when you go to a circus, you will see in the daytime, there's a lot of these elephants in chains. And what is interesting for you to know is these elephants are huge in size. The chain is not that thick. If the elephant really wants, can snap the chain and then run away. But the elephant never does it. You know why? From the childhood, the master of the elephant has put the elephant's one leg in the chain, and when the elephant was small, little baby, it tried to kind of break away, but it could not, because for the small baby elephant it was difficult. But from that day on, the baby elephant started growing, believing that it can never break away. And when it becomes an adult, huge, gigantic elephant, it never makes an attempt to break away because it believes that it can never break away. And how do we compare this with ourselves? All of us are in chains. If you are in confusion, you are in chains. But more precisely, your mind is tied to a chain. We are unable to break free. We're not able to break away from that chain. Great masters help us break away from the chain by inspiring us, by breaking away the garbage in our mind, by breaking away by melting the clutter in our brain and helping us find clarity in our career. Sajid Thakur says, when you see that obstacles can no longer intimidate you, rather you are able to straighten out obstacles in such a way that they help you develop, then only you are strong. When your understanding adorns your character in this way, then only will your nature give you a real hero's reception. So if you want to get a heroic reception, if you really want to achieve excellence in your career and life, you must be prepared to overcome obstacles. And if the obstacles intimidate you, then you give up, and then you lose the race, and you lead a mediocre career. And if the obstacles do not intimidate you, then you become strong. I know that I have to wind up. They will not be very happy with me if I continue. But at the end, I would like to say, career is a cross-section of these three things. What you love, what you're good at, what the society needs, right? What you love doing. That young man loved doing music, right? My son loved doing pure science. He used to break all instruments at home in the childhood. But we as parents did not get any indication what you love doing, what you are good at, and what the society needs. Career is the cross-section of all the three. If you find that middle path where all the three converge, if you choose a career that you enjoy doing, a job that you enjoy doing, a job that you are really brilliant at, and the job which has demand, which has value for people, for the society, you can make a great career. So, my dear young men and women, I would like to wish you all the best as you get ready to take off and fly to a great career. Thank you very much. Jai Guru.
Thank you so much, sir. Your sharing was truly enlightening. You have set a great example. I would like to invite Dr. Bonobihari Mishra to felicitate our keynote speaker, Mr. Surya Prakash Mahapatra. What an insightful session.